Your attention, please! If you take most plastics and you drop them on a concrete floor, they make a dull sound. You barely notice it. But if you drop PPS, it sounds like metal. Especially the carbon fiber or glass fiber PPS, it actually rings. There's a sharp, high-pitched tone that immediately tells you this is not a normal polymer. That sound is stiffness, high modulus, structure, crystallinity. And that raises an obvious question. How does a plastic behave like that? What makes it different from all the other plastics out there? Now the answer takes us somewhere unexpected, not into aerospace labs or automotive R&D facilities, but oil refineries and sulfur chemistry. Now, before we go any further, quick little context on why we care about engineering polymers like PPS. Here at Vision Miner, we've spent nearly a decade working with high temperature polymers just like PPS every single day. PEEK, Ultim, PPSU. We don't just make the machines, we're in the back printing these materials, tuning them, breaking them, and sending parts into real industrial applications across chemical processing, automotive, electrical, and aerospace every single day. I still remember the first time I printed PPS. It was actually a carbon fiber grade from an older company called Essentium, rest in peace. And I dropped the part on the floor and it sounded like titanium. It was honestly wild. We'd never seen anything like that before. And PPS actually has one of the most unusual origin stories of any engineering material that we work with. Now, before PPS existed, there was a growing problem across heavy industry. Chemical processing environments are some of the harshest places that you can put a material. You've got hot acids, you've got aggressive solvents, hydrocarbons, and continuous exposure to all these things. Not minutes or hours, but days, weeks, or months at a time, and often there are no off cycles. So in these environments, metals end up getting corroded or pitting. Coatings flake off and fail, and elastomers will swell and lose strength. Plastics often creep or crack or dissolve entirely. You could design a system, theoretically on paper, perfectly, and still watch it fail 6 months later actually in the field. Now the hardest part was that there wasn't a single dominant failure mode. Sometimes heat killed the part, sometimes it was chemistry attacking it, sometimes it was just slow dimensional drift over time from the moisture and the other elements of the environment. Engineers weren't asking for a lighter material, they weren't asking for a stronger material. They just wanted a material that simply stayed exactly the same over time, no matter what it was exposed to. Now this is where PPS breaks the usual story. It wasn't invented specifically to solve an engineering problem. There was no product roadmap, there's no target application. Back in the 50s and 60s, oil companies were pouring massive amounts of resources and money into internal chemistry research, especially in sulfur chemistry. Sulfur compounds are basically everywhere in crude oil. They interfere with the refining reactions, they poison catalysts, meaning the catalysts stop working and have to be replaced, and they accelerate corrosion inside of processing equipment. In short, sulfur made everything in refining harder, slower, and more expensive. So chemists were experimenting with sulfur reactions at high temperatures and harsh solvents, under pressure, trying to understand it and how they could potentially control it. And in the middle, during all of that work, something unexpected happened. Instead of producing small molecules, certain reactions actually began forming long chains, rigid aromatic rings linked together by sulfur atoms. Now, nobody was trying to invent a high-performance polymer, they were just following the chemistry. But what they accidentally created turned out to be one of the most chemically stable polymer backbones ever put into production. And that material is now known as polyphenylene sulfide, or PPS. And here's a fact that still blows my mind. PPS is essentially completely insoluble in any solvent or acid below 200 Celsius. Meaning any of these acids, you gotta heat them up to 200 C before it starts breaking this stuff down. That is absolutely wild. Now, PPS doesn't feel like plastic because at a molecular level, it just isn't built like one. Its backbone is made of aromatic rings, which are flat, rigid structures that resist bending and rotation. That gives PPS stiffness and heat resistance right out of the gate. Now, those rings are connected by sulfur bonds, which are extremely stable in chemical environments, and that's where PPS gets its resistance to fuels and oxidation and solvents and acids. And then there's also the crystallinity. When PPS is processed processed correctly, portions of the polymer chains actually pack into ordered crystalline regions. Think of like molecules locking into place instead of just floating around more randomly. Now those crystalline regions actually increase the stiffness, they reduce the creep over time, and they basically lock the dimensions in place over time with stress. And that is why PPS doesn't slowly deform under load like most other plastics do. And all of that shows up in the real world. The density, the rigidity, the sharp metallic sound when it hits the floor. That's not marketing, that's structure. Now this is exactly what we see when printing PPS and its carbon fiber and glass fiber composites on our 22 IDEX, the high temp 3D printer that we manufacture here at Vision Miner. PPS loves having solid thermal control. It doesn't behave exactly like ABS or nylon where the warping is just reduced. It does take a little more finesse, especially being semi-crystalline. That makes a huge difference. Every geometry is a little different, and you do get a little bit of guessing before you print. Now, you might be saying, oh, I can print this on my bamboo or something like that. And it's like, well, yeah, you can extrude it and you can make a geometrically sound part, but most of the time you're not actually getting the full performance. If you print PPS in open air without a heated chamber and proper thermal control, then you will get a part out, but it won't give you the true performance of that semi-crystalline structure within the part. Now you can anneal the part, and that'll help a lot, but often annealing after the fact costs you all the dimensional accuracy and your part basically warps out of shape. Now, high-end engineering polymers like this, they demand process discipline. When you give them that, then the results are usually incredible. Now, the first industry that really put PPS through its paces was actually chemical processing, right? Pump housings, valve components, seals, flow control parts, handling super aggressive fluids continuously, like not intermittently, but all the time. Now, PPS worked well because it didn't swell, it wasn't dissolving, it didn't chemically break down, and it wasn't drifting or warping out of tolerance over time. Now, once that reputation was established, other industries did follow suit and start using it. Electrical systems in particular needed materials that stayed super dimensionally stable and electrically insulating at elevated temperatures. Automotive adopted PPS under the hood, where heat and vibration and chemical exposure all exist at the same time, constantly. But unlike some other materials, PPS didn't just immediately replace everything. It replaced materials specifically where repeated failure was just no longer acceptable. PPS exists because real industrial environments, a data sheet's one thing, but it doesn't actually matter. If the material's getting exposed to heat and chemistry and time all at once, it just needs to survive. And PPS survived because it came out of the chemistry first, not out of marketing or an initiative. Now these ultra performance polymers, this is where we live. This is where we work every day here at Vision Miner. We've got machines and consulting and help for you and your business to get machinery in and actually start producing these parts on your own. If you're interested, give us a call or shoot us an email. But thanks for watching. Have a positive rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.